Greetings. My name is JB, better known as the Militant Negro, and I want to welcome you to the Militant Negro YouTube channel. This video is going to be a little bit different than my usual video. It's not about racism or politics or stupid people or current events or issues that are affecting me via social media. This is about diabetes. I'm not a celebrity, so my speaking out about diabetes probably won't help that many people, but I've thought long and hard about making a video about diabetes, and I think it's time that I did that. In 2008, I was diagnosed with diabetes, and that was the end of my career as a professional chef because I could not stand on my feet for 12, 14 hours a day to do the job properly. So when I was diagnosed, that was the start of my retirement. But being a hard-headed, opinionated, ornery man, I ignored the diabetes diagnosis that I got in 2008. I did nothing. I didn't change my routine, my diet. I didn't do anything. I saw a doctor. The doctor prescribed medication for me, something known as metformin. Now, at the time, in 2008, metformin was the first line of defense against diabetes. You took that pill, and I guess they hoped that that would do something for the diabetes. But the thing is, diabetes is not a curable disease. At this time, there is no cure for diabetes. If you have diabetes, no matter how well you manage it or take care of yourself, you will eventually die from diabetes. You will lose circulation, your eyesight will go bad, you will start to get limbs amputated, you will feel tired, it affects your kidneys, your heart, so many things. Diabetes is a killer. It is not a silent killer like people will tell you. You know it's there. Before 2008, I had some symptoms that I did not know what the hell they were, but being a hard-headed individual, never being sick in my entire life, I didn't run to the doctor. It took a blister getting on my foot from doing a lot of walking, and the blister became an ulcer, which swelled my leg up to the size of a tree trunk, which is what made me go to see the doctor. That's how I got diagnosed. I have since I'm not as hard-headed as I used to be. And what made me stop being an ignorant person and ignoring my diabetes was the amputation of 2 toes. So by 2012, I had been ignoring my diabetes from 2008 to 2012. The price I paid was having both great toes on each foot amputated. That woke me up. That made me realize I have to do what's necessary to not lose any other body parts. Now, I always considered myself to be an intelligent man. And I'm not speaking of book education or school education, street sense, street smarts. I always thought I was smart. But instead of facing the diabetes diagnosis and doing what I was supposed to do, I ignored it. It took me losing both my great toes for me to understand that I have to do something to control this. And I can control it to a certain extent. When I first started out with this and ignored things, my blood levels were extremely high. My A1C, which is a way that doctors tell what your blood sugar normally should be and what it is, my first A1C test was 11.7. 5 to 7 is normal. I was at 11.7. A couple of months ago, I got my A1C tested and I was down to 7. So dropping it from 11.7 to 7.0 is big deal. Now I'm scheduled to see the doctor again the end of this month for another A1C test. And I am hoping that my good works toward doing what I'm supposed to do has dropped it to 5. This all means that your blood sugar is more in control than it would normally be. I take 2 types of insulin. I take a Lantus, which is long-acting insulin, and I take Novolog, which is a right now short-acting insulin. I'm going through all this and making this video because I want people to know you cannot ignore diabetes. Now, as I said, I'm not a celebrity. This is not a public service announcement. I'm just trying to get it in people's minds that you have to take care of diabetes if and when you are diagnosed. You can't ignore it. You have to change your diet. And anybody can get diabetes. I'm a walking proof case of that. I have been I have been between 212 and 240 pounds since high school. Right now I weigh 239 and a half. I'm 6'5". I've never been obese. I've never been a person who loved sweets, chocolates, candies, desserts, all that stuff. I've never been into that. I mean, I like chocolate, I like pies, I like cakes, but I don't eat them often because I just don't have a desire for them. Nobody in my family has had diabetes, heart disease, eye trouble, none of that stuff. Nothing in my family history leads me to believe that I was a candidate for diabetes. So I wasn't obese. There is no history of diabetes in my family. I'm not a sugar addict, yet and still, I was diagnosed in 2008 with diabetes. So I spent some time trying to figure out why. Doctors can't give me an answer, and I haven't found one. So what I'm trying to say is anyone who breathes air and bleeds blood can get diabetes. You have to get yourself checked. Every now and then when you go to your doctors, and here's another thing, you must go to your doctors periodically for checkups. Me, I hadn't been to a doctor for decades before 2008 rolled around. And that was another stupid thing that I did. So you have to get yourself checked up. You have to get a doctor to look you over. I hate doctors. Can't stand them. The medical profession itself to me is a scam. Case in point, nobody is giving me any kind of information or drugs that will make the diabetes go away. I know that there's a cure for it. I know that there are things that I can be doing right now to reverse it. I found this out by going online and reading up on it. There are foods you can eat. There are teas you can drink. Exercise is another thing, but I've always been exercising. I've never stopped exercising as I got older. From high school to the military to afterwards, I've always exercised. I'm in great shape now, and I've always been in great shape. So it's not that. I have not eaten a whole bunch of garbage. Being a chef, I eat good quality food. I'm not personally into all the fatty foods that I do cook for others. So this is why, again, I was flummoxed as to why I was diabetic. But my point with this video is this. You have to take care of yourself. You have to have regular checkups. I know that's a cliche, but you have to do it. Had I had a checkup every year, I might have caught diabetes way earlier than waiting for an ulcer on my foot to send me to the emergency room. We as human beings think we're invincible. I thought I was invincible. I'd gone my entire life without so much as a cavity. And here I am right now today, a diabetic. From 2008 to 2012, I did nothing to keep my diabetes in check. I didn't take insulin. I didn't take medication. I just didn't do it. Hard-headed, ornery, ignoring it because that'll make it go away. That'll make it not real if I don't do anything about it. Big mistake. And again, for an intelligent individual, that was a very stupid thing to do. So here's what I'm trying to say to you today. Get yourself checked out. Get a physical once a year. Do the things you're supposed to do health-wise. Diabetes is serious and it's real and it doesn't disappear because you ignore it. Take care of your checkup schedule. Another piece of advice is find a good diabetic doctor. If you're diagnosed with diabetes, go to a diabetes education center and take some classes. They teach you what to do, how to eat, how to count carbs, how much liquids you can take, what things you can do to slow the diabetes down. Go online, use a browser, Google Chrome, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox. Find some browser that you have and use a search engine, be it Yahoo, Bing, Google, whatever. Find yourself the information online for diabetes. Research it. Investigate. Don't just take your doctor's word for it that you need all these medications that they want to give you. Because the medications don't do anything but prolong your life with diabetes. If you're interested in having a life without diabetes and you catch it early enough, and that's the important thing. You can't ignore it for 2 years, 5 years, 6 years like me. You have to catch it early, which is why you need checkups annually. Catch the diabetes early, change your diet. If you don't exercise, start exercising. But diet is the key here. There are a lot of research studies that say you can cure cancer, slow it down, and reverse it with the diet of cancer-killing products. I believe the same thing is true for diabetes. You can slow diabetes down. I think you can even reverse it if you start eating things to help kill the diabetic symptoms. You need to eat foods that help you with your circulation because diabetes, it kills circulation. The pancreas do not make the insulin that is needed for you to survive. So all that stuff that you eat, even normal stuff, gets turned into sugar. And then your system has too much sugar in it. You're on sugar overload. That's why you take the insulin, so the insulin will regulate the sugar in your blood. Because the pancreas they're just not doing what they should do. So the thing you need to do when you get diagnosed with diabetes, if you get diagnosed with it, is start changing your diet. I'm a fruit lover. I love fruit, but that becomes sugar in my system. So I have to choose which fruits I can eat. And I have to watch what carbs I can eat. I'm counting carbs daily. I'm taking my insulin like I should now. I test my blood sugar between 4 and 7 times a day, depending on what my blood sugar level is. I'm taking 2 kinds of insulin per day. People, you need to get on top of this before it gets on top of you. I know it's difficult. I know it's something you might not want to face. We as humans, when we get some bad news, we either act on it or we ignore it. We need to stop ignoring it. I ignored it. I'm not sick today to the point where I can't function. But at one point I was feeling very tired and very bad. I feel better now because I'm doing what I should do. So that's what I'm trying to get across to everyone. If you have diabetes, if there's a history of diabetes in your family, if a relative that you know of has diabetes, get yourself checked out. Treat diabetes just like you would treat cancer. If there's a history of cancer in your family, then you know already to get yourself tested, checked out, and keep watching over yourself on a yearly basis by going to your doctor. Same thing with diabetes. Anyone in your family has diabetes. If there's any history of it, please get yourself checked. Start taking care of yourself. If you are a person who likes sweets, cut back on them before you get diabetes. If you're obese, if you don't exercise, if you have a routine where you are eating foods that are rich in fats, and I mean the bad fats, if you're eating a lot of carbs, if you're just eating junk food and fast food and processed food with a bunch of salts and preservatives, change your diet. There is a way to stop yourself from getting diabetes ahead of time. A lifestyle change is very important. You don't want to get to my point in life and lose toes. I lost those 2 toes, and it took 2 of them. It took me losing not 1 but 2 before my hard-headed ass decided to do the right thing. Now I'm doing the right thing right now, but it's too late for me. I'm losing my eyesight. I am slowly going blind, and I've been to ophthalmologists, optometrists. They all want to tell me there's nothing wrong with your eyes, but I know that there is, because my eyesight used to be 20/20. In the military, I had such sharp eyesight till I was amazing to my COs. All my life, I've been able to see rabbits running down a field yards and yards away. I was a marksman, and I do mean a top-notch marksman. I could read for days on end without stopping. Now, my eyesight is bad, and it's getting worse. I have to rest my eyes constantly. If I don't sleep, force myself to sleep, force myself to rest my eyes, they get even worse. That is all my fault. I'm trying to do a video right now to alert you to the fact that you cannot ignore diabetes. I hope that if you're listening to this and you haven't checked for diabetes, you do so soon. I wish that you don't have it. Nobody should go through this. But if you do, you can't find out unless you get checked. I hope that this is getting through to you. Diabetes is dangerous. It is a death sentence eventually. You lose limbs. You lose your eyesight. Your heart messes up. Please, people, listen to me. Get yourself checked for diabetes, among other things, but especially diabetes. Namaste. Have a good weekend. I hope you enjoy November. Ciao, Bella.